Hi guys, welcome and thank you so much for tuning in on a Wednesday evening. My name's Shona. Thank you for joining us on our late night show. This is where we'll be having different people from different industries, different business leaders from various industries to talk about their experiences, failures, and how they bring their business to the next level. So many of our guests here share their passion and drive to do well, and we hope this will be able to motivate you to step out of your comfort zone and to be better because of it. So in today's session, right, we have Khalid Gibran, who is the founder and executive director of My Cooking Story and Exclusive Promotions, a one-of-a-kind promotion online provider. He's also a serial entrepreneur for 2 decades, right? Khalid has actually launched and successfully run businesses around Asia Pacific, the Middle East. Notably, a couple of his companies have actually won Hong Kong's Most Valuable Companies Awards 2 years consecutively. His businesses range from like hotels, loyalty programs, technology, retail, and now e-commerce. So during the COVID, right, he has actually become a new home cook and conceptualize My Cooking Story, an e-commerce platform that is set to take Southeast Asia's home cooking by storm. He actually transformed an offline business to an online business within 90 days, and he is also an expert in omni-channel marketing with a specialization in social media marketing and engagement. So when there's a crisis, Khalid will always be there, and he always looks for the light at the end of the tunnel and formulates a catalyst to get the light even quicker. So today, Khalid will be sharing with us, right, how he actually pivoted his business during the COVID-19 pandemic. What are the components for post-survival crisis, and how he actually scales his business from like 1 million within 12 months. So just before we invite Khalid onto the stage, right, I do hope you guys can share this session by sharing these people whom you think might benefit from this. If you're actually tuning in from Facebook, do hit the share button. If you're actually tuning this on Clubhouse, I encourage you guys to actually click on the plus button and ping more people into the room, yeah, so everybody can actually learn from Khalid's experience. So once again, if you guys wish to connect with like-minded individuals who want to grow, learn, and grow together as an entrepreneur, I do highly suggest you guys join our 100x Connecting Entrepreneurs group. This is where we'll be having 2 Zoom sessions every single night from 9 p.m. till late, and we'll have different people speaking about everything from health, wealth to relationships, all for free. So all these links will be linked down in the comment section below. So without further ado, right, we now welcome Khalid to actually share his story and experiences with us. Hi, Khalid. Welcome, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this show on a Wednesday evening. How are you, man?
Very good, Jonah. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I've been watching all your shows, and also thank you to 100x Connecting Entrepreneurs. I've just become a part of that group. Very interesting stuff.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Khalid. So do tell us, like Khalid, do tell us about yourself, your journey from being employed to self-employed, and now running your own business from like 0 to 1 million within 12 months, right? How was it like?
So, interesting journey. I'm not sure whether I should share this in public. A lot of students might get the wrong idea. But anyway, well, I started my first business when I was at university over in New Zealand. I went to university in Waikato, and I did a business degree, and I started my first business there, buying secondhand stuff and selling it to students, like iron, microwave, up to cars, believe it or not. And my partner was very good at fixing things. So again, even at that stage, I think I must have been about 19, and a big believer in collaboration. But anyway, I found my first job. I got my first job. I got my second job, and every job I've had, I've actually been fired, believe it or not. My bosses have actually fired me because they deem me a loose cannon, quote unquote, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm always used to looking for new ways, looking at different ways, looking at creative ways to do things. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest reasons I'm not employed right now. I work for myself, and also the other thing that led me to kind of start my own business. I'm just about to launch my 9th business in Malaysia. And I've had businesses, as Jonah sort of said, all around Asia Pacific. One of the other biggest reasons I went into doing business for myself or being self-employed is because I did not believe in big organization and their visions and mission. I mean, generally when I've actually worked for medium-sized companies, it's always been about dollars and cents. It's always about targets. It's always about, money, right? Funny, I'm saying this because our heading today is 0 to 1 million. Don't get me wrong, money is good, but bottom line is how are we getting it, and what's the mission of anything that you do? So since then, I've always had my own business, as Jonah said, in different industries. Currently, I've got a promotions company that's very interesting. And what we do is we actually create unique promotional campaigns. You must have definitely come across us, right? We're all over Southeast Asia. If you walk into a Giant or an Aeon today, spend 30 ringgit, collect a sticker, collect some stickers, and then you can redeem some interesting kitchenware. Or you go into 7-Eleven today, even more interesting, spend 5 ringgit, collect some stickers, and you can get a little Hello Kitty jewelry tin box. Or we've worked with Disney. All of that is from us. Yeah.
Wow.
That's my main business. And all of this is for the public eye, but for us, we serve a particular kind of client. It's a B2B business. We work with retailers. So our clients are like Giant, Tesco, Aeon, 7-Eleven, Caltex, Shell. These are the kind of hypermarkets, supermarkets, health and beauty, and fuel all around the region, right? What we do is we actually use these promotions as magic wands to drive return on investment for our retailers. So that's the first business. And then we moved on to e-commerce. And again, Jonah, you would not believe it. I suppose if you asked me in March, I was not a big Facebook fan. I thought it was crap. It was for people that like to waste time. I was not into Instagram. I had 3 people following. I was following 3 friends on Facebook, 3 followers on Instagram just before the COVID. So now the story is different. Every day I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and very live. But I've always believed in LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn's been my Facebook. Hence the omni-channel exposure. So a big believer that in order to serve people, you create businesses. And once you create businesses, you've got to reach out to them through all these omni-channels, right? So that's what I believe in. So does that kind of give a good introduction to start, Dana?
Yeah. Cool. So coming back to exclusive promotions, just now you actually mentioned that you actually work with all the big brands, right? So my question to you is how you actually got that connection and how you actually got in contact with the right person to deal with, because it's a dream come true for a lot of solo entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who actually want to start off to actually get into like the books of Aeon supermarkets, like Jasco, all these big brands, right? Or like Giant. How did you actually get into their books? Is it through somebody from LinkedIn or is it someone from your friends? How did you actually get it?
So again, interesting question. I've always in my life believed in going for the king or the emperor, right? So I always believe that if we can reach out to them, no matter what, it might take a bit longer than reaching out to the generals. But once you get to the king or the emperor, then everything else is kind of easy, right? So we've always had the concept of building a relationship with decision makers. But it all started, interestingly enough, I was employed with another multinational. I was the head of Southeast Asia. I was in between businesses, and I was charmed by an amazing entrepreneur. He's a British guy, and he had a 700 million euro business. And he said to me, Khalid, I've seen what you do, and why don't you go to Southeast Asia? Why don't you go to KL and run my business, right? I'll give you a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the pie. So that's how I came to KL 15 years ago, believe it or not. I was working in Hong Kong then. I was in Hong Kong. And so that's how it started. They were in the same business. They were globally #1. To be candid, that's where I learned So again, here's a tip, guys. If you're actually at the moment employed, I hope your employer is not watching as well. If you're employed, you learn. If you like what you do, but you don't have the same beliefs maybe as the owner. You learn what you're doing really, really well. Learn all facets of the business. Come out and do it yourself, right? So that's what myself and my partner Gary Chin, who's my best buddy, who's my partner in crime. So him and I used to run this large organization for Southeast Asia, and then we quit and we brought a similar business to life. And believe it or not, within the first few months, we were number one in the region. We're still number one in Southeast Asia against the global giant. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it started in terms of contacts. So this is where the contacts came in. But one of the key things in terms of building a business and getting contacts is networking. Networking is paramount, right? So for me, LinkedIn and Facebook have actually been really conducive to networking. But initially, I had a good start, to be frank with you, through this big multinational that I used to work with. But after that, it was all LinkedIn, right? Mainly LinkedIn. And just to give you a quick example of how powerful LinkedIn is, I wanted to get into Fiji, right? I don't know whether you guys know where Fiji is. For those who don't know Fiji, it's a beautiful country. It's paradise on earth, just below New Zealand, just close to Australia, New Zealand. It's an island paradise, right? 750,000 people. When I was a kid, my dad used to work there. He was an expatriate there for 1.5 years. So I schooled there. So I love the place. So I wanted to actually go there for free regularly. So obviously I needed to find business there, right? So I could apply, using business as an excuse. So I had to find, so the first thing I did was I found the #1 supermarket chain there, and I found out that it's owned by a billionaire. And the billionaire actually lived in Papua New Guinea. So can you believe it? I actually cold called and flirted with him on LinkedIn, private message, and I got an appointment. I went and saw him, and we had business in Fiji within 3 months. Right.
Wow.
Second thing, Dubai. So family decided. I've as you know, I've done business in Dubai before in my younger days. So I wanted to go back to Dubai regularly, and I wanted the company to pay for it, my own company to pay for it. Right. So I said to myself, I want to go to Dubai. Right. This was only about 2 years ago. So I got 6 appointments with decision makers in Dubai within a period of say 3 months, all starting with LinkedIn. Right. So the power of networking, LinkedIn, and social media is important here. I've actually broken into new markets using LinkedIn. So that's my sort of, I suppose, secret to getting into new markets, new countries. #1, please remember, always go after the decision maker. You're always told, the decision maker is the king. He's got double your experience. You may not be able to meet him. But even if it takes double the amount of time, work on getting to the key decision maker. And a lot of the key decision makers are on LinkedIn these days, even those days actually. So use LinkedIn. And again, as I went through LinkedIn, I've been a LinkedIn member for about 12 years, and I've refined my message, because the message you send to them, instead of just connecting, a request for connecting, I would highly recommend doing a very, very interesting message that would capture their attention. Right? So if anyone wants to know, or if you've got any messages you'd like to get to someone, if you know the person's name and so on, reach out to me and I'll type the message. I'll help you craft the message.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, if everybody wants that message that Khalid actually used to type to all the CEOs or the decision makers, type 1 in the comments. Type 1. Right. Thanks, Khalid. Your story was amazing, mind blowing. You actually mentioned about LinkedIn, how you actually connect with different people, and then later on, my next question to you is your most difficult decision on how you actually your toughest time that you actually went through and how you actually overcome it. But just before then, I'd like to welcome some of our audience on Facebook. So we have Adrian, we have Yvonne, we have Jasmine, Jack, King Fai, Mandy, Aiden, Nicholas, so Aiden, Mike, Wow, Ivy, Kate, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for actually tuning in on Wednesday evening. They're super amazing. So that a lot of them are from my community, but then again, everybody is here to learn. And on Clubhouse, we have Adrian, Kazana, Diane, and Wahida. Right, cool. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. So Khalid, do actually tell us like what was your toughest time that you actually went through, and how did you actually overcome it?
Do you know, funny thing about tough times, right? Whenever someone asks me this question, and people invariably ask me this question to check me out, I say to myself, oh shit, tough time, tough time, tough time. Even today, I was just, someone asked me this question. I had someone for interview and a potential candidate, and he turned around and said to me, Khalid, what was the toughest and most challenging time, right? When you actually look at it from hindsight, when you rewind and look back, you think, oh shit, that wasn't that tough, right? But during the time when we went through that, it was the most toughest time. So what I've learned, I mean, to honestly answer this question, there have been many tough times, but for me, I would replace the word tough with learning opportunities. And always what I've done is, I'm a Gemini, so I've got two personalities, watch out. So I actually go into another personality, come out of the problem or the challenge, and look at it and see where are the lessons in this challenge or the tough time I'm going through, right? And then list it down and actually go through the whole challenging period, keeping in mind I'm learning something and I'm actually learning to resolve this problem or tough time, right? So I've had many, but it's all about the mindset. It's about a paradigm shift. There is a switch in you where you can actually come out of a problem, or just, even if you look at something, say, for example, you take a telephone. This is a telephone, right? I show you this side, and you can only see this side, but there is another side, right? So if there is a challenge, always look at it from all the different angles and find an angle which is the weakest link. I also have discovered every challenge or problem has a weak link, and that's how you fix it. That's how you infiltrate and break through, right? So tough times, I've had many tough times, but it's all been learning opportunities for me, and it's made me stronger, tougher. Something that doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So I can't pinpoint one tough situation as such, Jonah.
Wow, cool. I think like your tough time would be basically you treat it as a learning opportunity, so you don't see it as a tough period to actually go through. Everything you go through is tough. Handling stuff is tough. Going through different managements is tough. You actually transition to a new market is tough, right? So everything is tough. Is how you actually have that correct mindset to be able to handle it and to troubleshoot and then move on. So there won't be specifically a very tough time, but it's how you actually overcome every obstacle. Is that true, Khalid?
Spot on. I'd like to share something from one of my mentors, Tony Robbins. He's been my mentor since I was 18 years old. For those who know him, Anthony Robbins, I'm talking about. He's a big believer in words, the power of words. So it's so important. You've got to replace words like tough, pitfalls, all of those into positive words. Because once you do that, when you refer to a tough time as a learning opportunity, straight away your mind, which is a silly monkey, straight away kind of says, okay, yeah, it's a learning opportunity. Let me look at it from that angle, right? But if you say tough times, problem, this, that, and the other, it becomes even harder to resolve them. And this is I learned from my great mentor, Tony Robbins.
Wow. Cool. So speaking about which, I forgot to actually ask you about your little young Khalid, right? A lot of us know the amazing Khalid right now that actually made it through. How was your childhood actually instrumental to how you actually are today? Was it a mentor that you came across? Was it a course that you went for? How was it? How was the transition like from being young Khalid to the Khalid Gibran that we see now?
Very interesting question too. It all started when I was born, actually. So I had the best two mentors. Two of my bestest gurus are my mom and dad, right? So all the discipline all the methods to sail through challenging times, convert challenging times into learning opportunities. All of that, organization skills, all of that I learned from my mother. And my dad was an interesting chap. He's only educated till Form 4. I hope he's not watching this. But he self-taught himself English. And I used to remember in our, you guys call it Taman, in our suburb, my dad had the biggest library, right? So by the time I was 12 years old, I had read, things like James Hadley Chase, Arthur Haley's, all of these books, the whole series, I had already read it. So I learned from my dad the continuous process of learning. I mean, if you go to my dad, he actually lives in New Zealand. He's retired. He was a businessman. If you go to his house, everywhere you see, whether it's the toilet, bathroom, kitchen, he loves to cook, his lazy boy chair, everywhere there are magazines and books. He even flicks me YouTube things on. He's still learning about Facebook, Instagram. So I learned that from my dad. So I had a very good foundation as I was a kid. But the environment I grew up in was also very, very, very conducive to learning a lot. I come from a lower middle class family, and I was born in Sri Lanka, believe it or not. So I went to New Zealand as a refugee. So at an early age, we got chased out of our own house. Our house got burnt right in front of our eyes, myself, my brother, and my mum. So we had to run and hide. We were in refugee camps. And then we got sent to New Zealand. So that experience was a very good one. So I grew up by a decade in 1 year, right? So that was a good grounding. This was the younger days actually growing up. But then I was introduced to Tony Robbins at a very early age, as I said, 18. And the guys, I think your followers, your fans, Jonah, I think they all know Tony Robbins. I see Yandaro. Hi. So you've got fans like him. I think all of you know Tony Robbins, and I got most of my solid grounding from Tony Robbins. Then people like Deepak Chopra. Some of the best books I've read. Millionaire Mind, Harvey Ecom. Love that book. And then Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That also, kind of re-engineered Khalid. Then Tony Robbins. I've mentioned Deepak Chopra. So these are some of the books. And this chap, what's his name? The Japanese guy who teaches about Robert Kiyosaki. Yes. So that book I was also exposed to at a very young age. So these are some of the books and authors that I've actually that I've emulated. And then of late, of course, Steve Jobs. I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs. Tony Fernandez, local legend, Richard Branson. So my style is pretty much, business style is very much Richard Branson. Some people like it, some people don't like it. So these are my mentors and gurus, Jonah.
Wow, cool. So actually reading was instrumental when you were actually growing up and actually molded you to who you are. A lot of us, like, we live in this situation where books aren't that important right now. I always have a book around me, like the book that I'm reading right now is like by Tony Fernandez. I do have books lying around, but a lot of times they get the dust so much because there's so many other distractions around, right? That the book doesn't seem so enticing anymore. What would your advice be to these people here? Because I do struggle with that occasionally. Like checking through my WhatsApp, going through Facebook would actually be more enticing, or going through YouTube would actually be more enticing than actually picking up a book to read, right? So how would you actually go about that? Sorry, this is a super off topic. This is because you mentioned about books, right? So this caught my eye. So how would you actually advise these entrepreneurs? How would you actually learn?
Okay, a couple of things. I mean, you might have kids as well. I think the guys that are watching and listening this might have kids. I've got 5. Please get them onto reading ASAP. My girls kind of can finish a book in 2 days, 3 days. It's a very expensive affair. but please do, and make sure that you don't give them Kindle at a young age, because it's a big difference. Even today, I got into Kindle about 5 years ago, 4 years ago, but I stopped because I got distracted. I read on Kindle, then I go into my Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on. So not a good idea. Paperbacks are the best. But at a very young age, the interesting thing is, hi Vince, you're a superstar. Sorry, can I just quickly say Vince is there? He might only have 1 second, a really busy guy, but I want to tell the audience that everything I know about social media, right? In 60 hours, within a week, I learned from Vince Tan's DWS, right?
Wow.
Digital World Summit. In those days, everything I knew, believe it or not. So thank you, Vince. You sowed the seed in me in terms of social media and e-commerce. Reading books, I would encourage people, whether it's kids, mainly kids, to read fiction, because fiction gave me a lot of creativity. I mean, it turned a switch in my head that made me really creative. I can dream, I can imagine, and believe you me, if you can dream and imagine things that are not there, you can get them, you can achieve them. And
Wow.
I learned that from my dad and from my reading fiction books. I've read a lot of fiction books until the age of, I think, 17, and then I got into some spiritual stuff. And then after that, business. But even today, once in a while, I read fiction because it really spurs the creativity. So all of those people that are listening, if you're entrepreneurs, want to be entrepreneurs, you always are encouraged to read Tony Robbins, Business Magazine, all of this newspaper, but do read fiction because it's going to give you a lot of creative energy, imaginative energy. And that ability is very important if you're an entrepreneur, right? So that's what I would highly recommend. So read a mix. I think one of the biggest things missing with entrepreneurs these days, Jonah, is they don't act from inside out, right? It's always, wherever I see, it's about how to make money quickly, 3 ways to make money, 3 ways to make money quickly. But that's just the outcome, right? If you run after money, it runs even faster away from you, right? So I've always believed in operating from inside out. Again, read spiritual stuff because everything is in you, and you can really sort of be successful operating from inside out. If you don't get what I'm saying, it requires another whole session, Jonah. Trust me, read spirituality, read business, read nonfiction, read fiction, all of those things. Do a mix because every different kind of reading, subject matter, turns on different things in your head. And all of that is very important for an entrepreneur. I'm not sure whether you guys know, I think, Jonah, you would know, Bill Gates carries, wherever he goes, he's got this many books that he reads all the time. Why is he reading? I mean, he's a billionaire. He's got shitload of money. He doesn't need money or anything. Why is he reading? So knowledge comes from reading, and reading is very important. I'll highly recommend off digital reading. I mean, of course, I do a lot of digital reading, but I also have a book. There's always a book in my bag or at home.
I noticed a common denominator among a lot of successful people is reading. Like a lot. Everybody that you talk about, like they have really good mindset. They actually achieve something. They are highly successful in what they do. The main common denominator is they read a lot, and they read everything from fiction to non-fiction. And for myself, I've been reading a lot of non-fiction. So what you actually mentioned about fiction, right, actually sparked something in me. And yes, I think I should be starting to read a little bit more fiction stuff in the future, right? Thanks for actually letting me know on this and actually giving me some insights on it. So to our audience,
write this name down. Sapiens. Yeah, please read that book. Let me know what you think of it. It's one of the best books I've read in the recent times. Guys, if you haven't read it, you've got to read it. Sorry?
Is it Sapiens by Noval Harari?
It's a statistic book. It's amazing. It's all about us, how we evolved. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, amazing. Cool, cool. Will be in my short list to read. So to our audience here right now, I think you're actually very off topic today. So today we're actually speaking to Khalid Gibran. Will be actually he'll be actually sharing experience how he actually grew his e-commerce business from 0 to 1 million within 12 months. And yeah, and this is all during the COVID-19 pandemic. So coming into the questions, right? My big question, the first question I want to ask you is, how everybody is doing e-commerce, right? What makes you different, right? What kind of you have a special sauce that you take out from your kitchen cabinet, since you're actually doing a little bit of home cooking, right? Is there a special sauce people can actually pull out to have it, and then straight away they become like Khalid? Well, what's your secret sauce, man?
Okay, so it's quite simple. How can I put it? A lot of people around me talk about e-commerce as a technology, as a business in itself, right? For me, as a businessman, to be honest with you, people have asked me, when I give interviews, media, they've asked me, Khalid, are you an expert in e-commerce? My answer straight away is no. Right, I'm not. I don't know much about e-commerce. Whether it's BigCommerce or Shopify. I've got a team. I've got a guy that tells me everything. But I use e-commerce as a tool to do my business. Right, it's only a tool. Business is different. So e-commerce has been a very interesting tool for me of late because of the adoption of people to online during COVID. So that's the biggest thing. That's where I am different. I'm not a youngster who's into technology and all that. I'm an oldie, and I love business. And e-commerce for me is only one of the channels. It's a tool for my business. That's how I'm different. That's number one. Number two is, when I actually start a business, it's always to serve a need. I identify a market, a target market, and I fulfill their needs. So it's all about service. And when I serve, I create a universe. So it's not about just, I created mycookingstory.com, and it's not about kitchenware. It's not about online kitchenware. It's about creating a positive, enjoyable cooking experience for home cooks. So when I create that, whatever the home cook requires in their kitchen, to have a pleasant experience, we offer it to them, through omni channels. So it's a universe for home cooks, right? So that's how I look at it. So e-commerce for me is just a tool, Jonah.
Wow, cool. You actually shared two things. E-commerce is actually a tool for you, and you always see a need in the market, and then you fulfill that need instead of creating something that you're not sure about, right? So you actually find the need first. And yeah, like, how do you actually turn this from an offline business to an online business, like your my kitchen story, right? Usually it's something like an offline thing. How did you actually turn it online?
Okay, Jonah, don't say the word My Kitchen Story. I get really upset. It's My Cooking Story. I originally wanted My Kitchen Story, but it was taken.
Sorry.
It's about it was taken.
Story, yep. Oh, okay.
So it's My Cooking Story, right? Would have been nice if it was My Kitchen Story. But anyway, the offline to online, right? So, when we started out, we were traditional traders, right? So we design rewards, whether it's kitchenware or toys, and put them in unique promotions for retailers. That's what we did. So during COVID, that business took a little bit of a backseat because the retailers were saying, Khalid, we're really busy with frontline stuff, staples, necessities. So, promotion is not in the radar. So again, as business people, life has to go on. So my partner Gary Chin and I, we sat down and had to think about it. And then we read an article from Ganesh Banga. I don't know whether you've heard that name before. He's been hailed as the Bill Gates of Malaysia. Very interesting chap, a good friend. And he's got a company that's called commerce.asia. So they published a paper that said during COVID, the sales of kitchenware online went up by 880% plus, right? That's number one. So myself and my partner saw a need in the market. And then again, I became a home cook. Never cooked before, but I became a home cook during COVID. I can cook some interesting stuff. Come home if you're free, Jonah. One day I'll cook for you.
Definitely, man. I'll pay you a
Or
visit.
I'll come to JB and cook in your kitchen. How about that?
Definitely. Yeah.
So I became a home cook, and I started kind of feeling the pain points of home cooks, whereby there were expensive cookware in department stores in Malaysia, like 1,000 ringgit a frying pan, and there was really really cheap cookware in marketplaces. We know who I'm talking about. I bought one and I could crush it with my hand, and I don't go to the gym, but still I could crush it, right? So it's cheap and it's really really bad quality. So for us, we found a niche where our kitchenware is professional kitchenware, branded, high quality, but affordable prices. Because from our B2B business, we source in millions. So for example, in the last 6 years, Jonah, for our B2B business, the reward promotion business, we've actually imported about 6 million pieces of cookware, 7 million pieces of knives, and the bakeware, 12 million pieces. So our purchasing power is very good, right? So that's why we can offer professional kitchenware for home cooks at bestest price. We call it bestest price, right? It's really amazing price. So that's how it all started. So in terms of the 3 months, I have 3 things to tell you guys how we transformed from an offline business, right? My team is all ancient, like me, right? No social media, they're into traditional import and sell through, right, to big retailers. So how did we transform? Simply, the number one thing that we did was we really believed in ourselves. And as Jonah mentioned, I've always believed every crisis is a catalyst. Every crisis has a silver lining. And every crisis, every darkness has a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So the belief part is very important. I'm just saying this. You think, oh yeah, rah, but it's not rah, it's the truth. It's number one. Number two is leveraging existing strengths. So if we looked at our existing business just before COVID, we were very good at sourcing, supply chain, kitchenware. So we had that already. So how do we move it to an online business? We leveraged those strengths and launched an online haven for home cooks, right? And the last thing, the third point that made us accelerate within 3 months to launch an online business is collaboration. Big believer in collaboration. I always believe that 1 + 1 = 5 if you actually engage experts to do things, right? You don't have to have everything in-house, right? As an entrepreneur, we're actually a boutique company. We're kind of medium-sized right now. So we don't actually have all expertise in-house, right? We don't want to have all expertise. We have some expertise like sourcing, supply chain, design of products, all of that. But in terms of social media, performance marketing, e-commerce, we outsourced. We got external help. We collaborated with like-minded people, right? So that's how we were able to put up a shop like that within 3 months, right? So remember 3 things: belief that you can do it. There is something there. You just got to go and find out what's there. Second is leverage your strengths. And the third thing is collaborate. Nothing beats this, right? So that's how we did it in 3 months, very simply put.
Wow, cool. Thanks for sharing, Khalid. I think a lot of people, if everyone here, all 30 plus people watching on Facebook, are actually getting a lot of value from Khalid, right? Type K in the comments, right? Type K. And for audiences who actually just joined us, like Ian, thank you so much for actually joining. Vince, Vivian, and Amin, thank you so much for actually joining us. We're actually speaking to Khalid Gibran, who is the specialist and e-com specialist, retail specialist at My Cooking Story, right? And exclusive promotions. So just not to get the name wrong once again. So sorry about that, Khalid. So yeah. Thank you so much for actually joining us today. Just now, Khalid, you actually mentioned about teams, right? You mentioned you had a team, and most of them are of age. They're not very young people. So how do you actually manage your team, your team's expectations, and for them to actually push them to a level that you want them to to perform? Because I can see that you are very driven, and some of your team members may not be as driven as yourself. How do you actually motivate them? Do share with us, Khalid.
Yeah. Okay, before I go on to that, Ian Lai, my friend, I'm sure he's your friend as well. He says,
Yep.
squeeze Khalid Gibran more. Ian, Joe has been squeezing me. Look at this sweat. My head is turning into a shining thing. He's been squeezing me for the last 45 minutes.
I'm trying, Ian. I'm
not
trying.
getting paid for this either. So, hey, I mean, team, I think just wanted to remind people of an old cliche, which I love and which I really believe in, which is team stands for me, together, everyone achieves more. Very, very important. It's not the individual, it's the team. But again, a team needs to have that individual, needs to have that leader that can show them the path, show them the way, right? If the leader is actually sitting right at the back of the gang and letting the team go out there and fight for them, they're not gonna. Yeah, they're not. It's not going to happen, right? So you need to be right at the front. So I mean, the simple thing to start off to inspire a teammate. I mean, I always get my hands dirty. First of all, I learn to cook so that I really understand the pain points of my customers, my home cooks. So if I want to serve a community, I better try and understand their pain points. So I went through that. So through blood, sweat, and tears. And a lot of videos, I learned how to cook. And then in terms of a team, they saw me for a week. I think it's almost about 60 hours maximum value. That's why if ever Vince Tan does anything, guys, just hook onto it. It's always very cheap, but lots of value. So I learned this and I started talking to them about these things. So they've never heard me talk about social media, Facebook. I'm always saying, guys, you're wasting your time on Facebook, right? But now Khalid's talking about Facebook. So, leading from the front, leading by example, meaning you've got to be bold enough to do what you expect your team to do. But do it first. Learn it. Do it well. And then, pretty much you turn around and say to them, guys, you've seen me. And if I can do it, you can do it, right? So this is one of the techniques I've always used when launching a company or to inspire a team that was totally offline into online. And again, they all sort of went through different courses like myself, and then get them involved in the whole thing. Same process, right? How did I get really interested? Because I started cooking at home. Then we started sharing recipes, believe it or not. I mean, there was a whole new, a camaraderie. Because every time we spoke about things, every time we got together on Zoom, people are talking about, hey, Khalid, what did you cook? Hey, Christina, what did you cook? Hey, let's share what we cooked for lunch. So it all became, all the talks became around the business. So slowly, I mean, without them really realizing, they got kind of transformed from an offline team to an online team. Believe it or not, when we switched from offline to online, my existing team was the team who did the online thing as well, except for one person, right? But other than that, everything else, expertise we source from outside. But our team, the current team, is operating both the offline and the online business, right?
All right, cool.
So this is what I would say. You want to do something, you start first.
So just now, Khalid, you actually mentioned your team. You use the existing team and then you train them to do it online, right? So you basically it's how you actually transition from offline to online, but still using the same people, but also outsource some talents outside. So my question to you is, you actually had a team that didn't know how to do it online. You had to train them, and later on, they do it, and then you actually monitor. What happens if they quit? What happens if after all those training, after all the hours that you spend with them, they just decided that, tomorrow this company is not what so they decide to call it quits? How do you actually go through, or what's your thought process like, and how do you actually overcome this negativity in your mind?
Okay, so this is a tough one because it's not applicable to everyone. And if I were to discuss the strategies of how I got a team that's convertible, that's transformable without it breaking apart, It's a long story, bro. It's a long story. But I'm fortunate enough to have a team that's self-empowered, right? Self-managed, because I'm not a good manager. And I hate to manage people. So they're all self-managed, and they're driven. And the biggest thing they have, the most common thing my team has is ownership. And I love ownership, right? So ownership is conducive to loyalty, and loyalty is conducive to transformation and success, right? Because they had ownership and they were loyal to the cause, it was not difficult to transform into a new paradigm. But then again, there is a little bit of trick. I hope none of my team is watching. What I did was I made the technology element very small. I said, oh yeah, it's just cooking, right? We just go to Home Cooks and offer our services, right? Whether it's kitchenware or kitchen remodeling or cooking, teaching videos, all that. It's a simple thing. It's what you do every day. It's what you do every day. And we know our kitchenware, right? So it's not rocket science. I never magnified that technology gap. I never made the gap very big. I made it seem like it's a small gap. It's only technology. And the outsourced experts really helped. So I took the fear out of them by making that gap really look small, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow, I really like that. I like you actually mentioned you actually gave them ownership of what they want to do, and the loyalty to the cause. That's how you actually group them together. They will leave. It's how if they do not align with all these values that you actually set in your company, they eventually leave, and you also do not want them in your company as well, right? But then those that actually stay, who are actually the ones that would really want to stay in your company. Is that correct?
Jonah, ownership is not given. Yeah, I mean, this is not the kind of ownership we give where it's equity or share. This is ownership that kind of comes from within them. Just to give you some examples, our general manager Vijay, who's also one of the founders of both the companies. For him, this is his life. It's his passion. Just a good example, right, of ownership. So he went out took the family out for a holiday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday last week, because of school holidays. And then, suddenly I thought he's on leave, but I see emails coming from him. He's actually trying to deal with an issue. And I said, Vijay, what are you doing, man? He said, oh, no, it's okay. The kids are playing, and, I just want to fix this, right? So ownership comes from within, and ownership comes from empowering people, right? The more you manage them, the further they get away from ownership. They start becoming the way you manage them, it becomes their crutch. They can't run fast. They'll always expect you to manage them, right?
That's true. To our audience here who are actually joining us right now, right? The 30 odd people of you guys. If you guys have any questions for Khalid, do type in the comment section because we are almost at the end of our session. So we just have a few more questions for Khalid and then we'll wrap things up. So Khalid, the most important question of all, how did you actually scale your business from 0 to 1 million? How did you do it? Did you do it alone? Did you do it with your team? Did you actually have a collaboration with outsiders to help you achieve these numbers? What was your process like? We would love to know.
So I think with not just achieving the 1 million, we've actually gone past the million. I think it's only 9 months. We're about 1.6, and the first and foremost thing is service, right? Always believe in service. You serve your customers, not sell to your customers, because selling is a different game. Serving is a different game. Serving is a long-term game, right? Conducive to customer loyalty if you serve them, because serving means you identify their pain points and exceed their expectation. That's service, right? So that's number one. Number two is leveraging strengths. I think I've already spoken about this, but you've got to leverage your strengths in order to go from 0 to 1 plus M in Malaysia during COVID. You've got to leverage your existing strength. whether it's personal. So if you've got a one-man business, like you're teaching something, that means you're leveraging your expertise, right? So you need to be able to identify your strengths and magnify them, right, as quickly as possible. Scale them up, right? The other thing is collaboration, and I think Jonah mentioned it. I've mentioned it before as well. I'm a big believer. I don't believe in competition. I believe in abundance. There are enough things out there for everyone, right? So I believe in collaboration, and make sure the collaboration brings you 1 + 1 = 5, not 1 + 1 = 2. That's not collaboration. That's wasting time, right? So 1 + 1 = 5 collaboration, right? You really got to believe in that. The other thing is continuous learning and education, right? Learning and self-education and learning. Learn. So these are some of the factors that actually got us from 0 to 1 million, not even in 12 months. We got there in about 6 months, right?
Wow.
And we're forging forward. So these 4 things are very important. So always remember, if you're after a sale, you might get it, you might get $1, right? But if you're after serving, then you're continuously going to be kitching all the way through. So have a service attitude, mentality, and collaborate. There's no such thing as competition. If you're into competition, you're living in the wrong world.
Wow, I like how you actually mentioned, serve your customers, leverage on existing strengths, and collaboration. And my final question to you, right, Khalid, is how do you actually find the right kind of partner to work together with you? There are so many different kind of vendors. There's so many people but the people that might not be the best people for you to hire. And it's a bit tricky because you know them, but at the same time you feel a bit, you think you have another person that could do a better job, and you know it, but because you know of that person, you are tempted to hire that person that is not as good. How do you actually go about this conundrum?
Sorry, Jonah, you're talking about a staff member or you're talking about a collaboration?
I'm talking about an external partner. You mentioned that you do a lot of collaborations, right? You do collaborations and you actually have external help to come in to help scale the business. But not to diss any marketers, but for sure there's certain marketers that you think can do a better job. You think, but you're not sure. But you do have friends who who is also seeking for your help and who wants that your to help you, but at the same time you think that he's not up to the job. How do you say no? How do you actually find the right partner?
Okay, very good question, right? This was an interesting challenge for me at the beginning because with social media, COVID, there were lots of experts out there, and they were all beating their drum the loudest and splashing their photos. I can do this. I'm an expert in this. I can do that. So there was a lot of noise, right? To sift through the noise to identify the right person was a challenge. And Jonah, you brought up a really important point. I'm a big networker, believe in networking. And when you network, you do get people. And as soon as they know that you've got an e-commerce site, they say, Khalid, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. And how do you say no to them, right? And you're like, shit, they're part of your network. They're commenting on your posts. How do you say no? Okay, simple formula, worked out a simple formula, and it seems to work so far. And this is through lots of lessons, right? Some may call it failures, but I call it lessons, learning opportunities. So what I do now is I don't get one person. If I'm not sure, right, I go by gut feel. If I'm not sure, because I realize the person who shouts the loudest may not necessarily be the right person, but they're part of your network, right? So I'm very clear these days. I say to people, yeah, you want to give it a shot with my marketing or branding or performance marketing? Yeah, bring it on. And I've just got to tell you, you've got other people. So I've got collaborations with 3 people doing performance marketing. I've split the budget into 3. You're more than welcome to come and give it a shot. And you've got a month. And in the month, this is, I need a 4 ROAS minimum. You can do a 4 ROAS, you've got my job, right? Because that's how it's got to be done, because I'm true always to the business. I'm always true to the business, right? Because when you set up a business, it's your fars, right? It's your responsibility to, be true to the business, right? So being true to the business means doing the right thing. Doing the right thing means, in this instance, whenever I engage an external party, I always do 3 or 2. And I give them equally, and I say, guys, go for it. May the best man win. You know what I mean? No, I'm serious.
Yep.
I am serious. So this has worked for me, whether it's performance marketing, whether it's branding, whether it's social media ads, design. So all of it, it's no love lost. I say, mate, you wanted a chance, right? Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. I'm not, I can't give you a job because you're an entrepreneur. So you want an opportunity, right? I'll give you the opportunity. No worries. Bring it on.
Wow, that's amazing. I hope, yep. So actually, what to summarize what you actually just mentioned, right, is not to be so hard up on one person. Use a few people, try them out, and see which is the best. And then from there, you evaluate, and then they perform. And then if they don't perform again, you reevaluate again, right? Because they're an external party. Trial. Yeah, that's a keyword, trial. Fantastic. Khalid, thank you so much. And one more question from King Fai. He's actually mentioning to you, how many staff do you have in your team during the 12 months?
Again, there's a very important part that I didn't mention. There's not enough time. Maybe you want to connect with me and understand a bit more. We're quite different as an e-commerce business in Malaysia. We are the only e-commerce business where we're offering products and services, but 70% of my sales comes from what I call partners. So we do 70% of our sales through affiliates. It's an affiliate program. We call them partners because I don't like the word affiliate. So we've got about 300 partners, and my brand, that's another secret for 3 months, within 3 months, offline to online, and cranking sales from 0 to 1 million plus. Engaging these partners. These are the third-party people endorsing my brand every day. These are micro and nano influencers, right? And they only get rewarded when they make a sale. So it's revenue sharing. And so if you asked me how many people, I mean, all I've got to say is shitloads. Do I count my outsourced marketing people, performance marketing, my in-house staff, my sourcing team? There's just too many. Not enough. Not enough.
And it changes every time, right? It depends on how, and then when you want to scale up on different things, like you scale up on your ads, then you have more people on the team, and then if you want to scale down your marketing, you scale down. So it's very fluid in that sense. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Khalid. I think that's pretty much all we have time for today. We're actually speaking to Khalid Gibran, retail and e-com specialist at My Cooking Story and Exclusive Promotions. Thank you so much for your time, Khalid. It was a pleasure having you on the show, and I'd like to thank our audience here who actually stayed all the way to the very end to actually learn from you. And if you guys actually got a lot of value from Khalid, type value in the comments, VALUE, type value, so we can actually give Khalid some love and respect. And if you actually enjoy this session, smash the heart button, smash the like button, so we'll keep the algorithm going. And if you want to connect with Khalid, do let us know how we can actually connect with you, or how can our audience connect with you.
Where do I say? I mean, I've got Facebook and Instagram, but start with LinkedIn because you're all entrepreneurs. You go Khalid Gibran, my full name, and you'll find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to ask me any questions. I am not an expert to charge you. So, whatever you want to learn in terms of entrepreneurship, just ask me the question. I'm happy to answer. First of all, thanks to all the audience for giving me a lot of encouragement. I see wows and thank you and all that. So thank you so much for listening to my rah-rah. Jonah, thank you for inviting me. And I have heard about you. They all say he looks really pleasant, cute, and smiley face, but he's a tough interviewer. So you were quite challenging because you can see some sweat spots on my forehead.
I tried.
And Yvonne and team from 100X and 100X Connecting Entrepreneur. I wish you the very best, Jonah.
Thank you very much, Khalid.
And Hamrex. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
And,
It was good fun.
Cool. And to our audience here who actually join us, I just want to name a few. We have Aiden, Ian, Badaria, we have Vivian, Jackie, Aiden, Vivian, King Fai, we have Alex, we have Yawang, we have Ivy, we have Jasmine, we have Vince, we have Amin, we have Kate, Ivy, Mike. Sorry guys, can't name all of you guys, but I really
Ian, hey, don't forget Ian.
Ian, yes, of course.
Ian, you just squeeze me.
Yeah. I hope I mentioned Ian. I think I mentioned Ian. But yeah, definitely shout out to Ian, man. Thanks for actually joining us and being so supportive every week. All right. And one more thing. To all those who actually wish to connect with like-minded individuals who want to learn and grow together as an entrepreneur, do join us on our 100x Connecting Entrepreneurs Facebook group. That's where we'll be having two Zoom sessions every single night from 9 p.m. till late, and everything we have speakers speaking for everything from health, wealth to relationships, all for free. And do join our free membership. There will be a free membership program that will be you have exclusive content on Discord. So we have that community all discussing a lot of various topics on Discord. So I do highly encourage you guys to join our community on as a free member. All right, cool. Khalid, that's all the time we have for today. Really appreciate your time. And to our audience here, thank you so much. And I'll see you next week. See you guys. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.